Okay, here's your summary of the heart and the circulation system. So let's have a quick go at drawing out the heart, and we need to also consider two of the main parts of the body as well. So first of all, to draw your heart, we're going to draw a cross. The cross is going sort of slightly off center. Okay, so this is our basic design of the heart. We're going to make the left side of the heart slightly thicker than the right side. We can colour that in. Now it's important to remember when drawing a heart that you have to imagine that you're drawing someone else's heart when you look at them. So although I've drawn it on the right side, this is actually the left side. So imagine you're looking at somebody else's heart and drawing that. Once we've got that sorted, so we know the difference between the left side and the right side, so this is going to be our left side, this is going to be our right side, we just need to name the different parts as well. Now there's a little clever trick that you can do for this. I'm going to draw a mini version of the heart over here. I'm going to write the letter A and the letter A. Then I'm going to write the letter V, but do it a little bit bigger. V, V. And you can see the the two bottom parts are sort of V-shaped, and the two top parts are A-shaped, if you imagine. So you can tell that the top parts are called the atrium, and the two bottom parts are called the ventricle. And then so we call it the left ventricle. We've got the left atrium, the right ventricle, and the right atrium. So there's an easy way to remember which way around is which. Two of the main features we're going to look at to try and explain how the blood travels around the body. So we need a box to represent the body, and we also want a box to represent the lungs as well. So these are the two main areas that we're going to focus on. So when we say the body, we talk about the whole body, so that includes the head as well. So just because I've drawn it at the bottom of the page doesn't mean that the blood moves from the heart downwards all the time. The blood's going to every single part of the body. So let's kind of give you a walkthrough of how the blood might circulate through the heart. So first of all, it doesn't matter where you start. I'm going to pick the oxygenated blood here at the top. So I'm going to use red to represent oxygenated blood. So oxygenated blood comes out of the heart. Now this is a bit misleading. It does look like it comes out of the atrium when I draw it, but actually when we finish the picture off, it shows that it comes through the ventricles. So it's going to go up and then out. It's going to go around to the body, and obviously that includes the head. And as soon as it passes all through the cells in the body, the oxygen is dropped off to the respiring cells. So it changes from being oxygenated blood to then we say it becomes deoxygenated blood. The blood returns from the head and the rest of the body and enters via the right atrium. Once it goes into the right atrium, passes through into the left ventricle, so the heart beats, squeezes the blood through. It then does a U-turn and passes through a valve and a separate tube, and then takes it out the top of the heart. So it does a U-turn back through, so it gets pumped through the atrium, pumped through the ventricle, returns back out again, and now it's on its way to the lungs. So it's going to pass round to the lungs. Once the blood passes round to the lungs, it can then become oxygenated again, so that's where we get gaseous exchange, and the blood then leaves the lungs. Once it does that, it's got to go back to the heart. We haven't quite finished off yet, we're almost there. Once it gets back into the heart, this time it's going to go to the left side, into the atrium, just like it did on the right hand side. It's going to pass through into the ventricle, do a U-turn, and it's going to pass just along the side part here, and we've got back to the start again. And the whole cycle repeats itself. So a blood cell will pass all the way through the body cells. Once it gets through the body, it becomes deoxygenated, all the way back round to the right hand side. Right atrium through to the right ventricle, through the ventricle and back up. This happens in pretty much a single heartbeat. This bit's very quick. Blood travels out, back into the lungs. Again, this can take 30 seconds to a minute or two for this to happen. Back into the lungs and round to the other side. So for one blood cell to get all the way around the body and back, it can take a good couple of minutes for this process to happen. But each heartbeat continuously is pumping blood, is pushing blood, pulsing the blood through the body, which is sometimes why we can feel that pulsation of the heartbeat when you come to feel your pulse either on your wrist or on your neck. It actually pulses all over different parts of the body as well. So a couple of other things that we need to remember. Let's label some parts of our diagram. So let's remember this as being oxygenated. And it's red, and it is actually redder in colour compared to deoxygenated blood, which is over here. Deoxygenated blood. We also need to remember that the left side is thicker, has a thicker muscle wall compared to the right side. So this is thicker. And the reason for that is the muscle is thicker because it has to push blood further. The lungs are next to the heart, so it's got to pump blood all the way down to your toes and to your fingertips. But it also has to push blood up against gravity all the way to your head as well. So it needs to generate more force in order to do that. A couple of things we need to remember about the heart as well. So first of all, it's made of a particular kind of muscle called cardiac muscle. So this is different to the muscle that's attached to your bones. Cardiac muscle doesn't tire or fatigue, much like the muscles in your bones do, attached to your bones. The heart's been pumping all of your life, so it'll be obviously a poor situation to be in if your heart muscle did start to tire. It needs to be continuously all the time. As a result, then, that rhythm, that beating, is controlled by something called a pacemaker, which is a special piece of tissue, and it sits about here in the heart. And the pacemaker causes the heart to beat at a certain rhythm, and that can be controlled whether you're exercising or relaxing, whether you've got enough oxygen or too much carbon dioxide in your blood, for example. So this is your pacemaker over here. Now the heart could be described as a double pump. Quickly show you why. It's basically made from two pumps working side by side. We've got the left hand pump, and its job is to send oxygenated blood round to the body, and then it's made of a second pump that receives the oxygenated blood, and that sends the blood round to the lungs. And both these sides contract at the same time. So the contraction starts with the atrium at the top, so the two atria contract together, squeeze the blood down into the ventricles, then the ventricles quickly contract to send the blood out of the heart. And this happens approximately once per second if you're in a rest position. And obviously pumps faster as you start to exercise. So there's your brief summary of the heart and the cardiac cycle and how blood is pumped around the body. The only extra things you'll need to learn are the names of the blood vessels that carry the blood in and out of the heart.